Anthony Rizzo's words cut through the clubhouse silence like a sharp echo, traveling far beyond the walls of Yankee Stadium. When he reportedly said, "They don't value me here," it wasn't just a comment, it was a spark thrown onto a pile of dry wood already waiting for a fire. Fans know Rizzo as more than a first baseman. He is a veteran, a champion, a presence that holds weight in the dugout and steadies the storm when pressure mounts. So when a figure like Rizzo feels undervalued, it doesn't just raise eyebrows, it shakes the very foundation of how the Yankees are supposed to operate. This franchise has always carried itself with an aura of prestige, a sense that wearing the pinstripes is a badge of both honor and legacy. For someone of Rizzo's stature to imply that he is not respected in that setting creates a storm of questions. Is this a matter of contract? Is it about playing time? Or is it deeper about culture, communication, and how the Yankees are treating their veterans? This isn't a whisper that can be brushed aside, because it carries the voice of frustration from a man who has already given everything to the game. What's truly striking about this whole situation is the timing. The Yankees are in a season where expectations were sky high. Every analyst, every fan, every commentator circled this year as one where the team needed to make a statement. They have invested heavily in stars, built up hype with headlines, and made bold claims about returning to glory. And yet, in the middle of all this, you have one of their most respected veterans essentially calling them out, almost like saying, "Hey, remember me? Remember what I bring to the table." That doesn't just sting, it rattles the structure. Because if someone like Rizzo, who was brought in not only for his bat, but for his leadership, feels pushed to the side, then what message does that send to the rest of the roster? Younger players look to him for guidance. For example, for calm when things spiral. If his voice is diminished, if his presence is undervalued, then the domino effect could be far more devastating than just one unhappy player. This becomes a storyline that lives not just in press conferences, but inside every inning, every at-bat, every moment the Yankees try to put their best version on the field. The whispers around the clubhouse suggest that this isn't just about numbers on a stat sheet. Rizzo has had ups and downs, yes, but his contributions cannot be measured solely by batting averages or home runs. He brings intangibles, the kind of influence that doesn't show up in analytics, but absolutely impacts wins and losses. The chemistry of a team matters, and when a player feels underappreciated, that chemistry corrodes. Sources close to the team have hinted that Rizzo has voiced his concerns for a while, quietly at first, hoping for acknowledgement. But when that acknowledgement doesn't come, the frustration builds, and suddenly it bursts out in words that hit like a headline-grabbing thunderclap. "They don't value me here." For Yankees fans, it feels shocking. For those who've been paying attention, maybe not so much. The silence from the front office, the vague statements from coaches, all seem to reinforce the idea that something is bubbling under the surface, something that might not be easy to fix with a quick meeting or a reassuring handshake. Fans online are already divided. Some argue that Rizzo has slowed down, that his numbers don't match the contract, that this is just the reality of an aging player struggling to accept a reduced role. Others, though, fire back with passion, insisting that this is exactly the kind of attitude that undermines loyalty. They say, if the Yankees can't value Anthony Rizzo, a proven leader and veteran who has carried himself with class, then who will they value? This debate spills across social media, talk shows, podcasts, and fan forums, and each side feels convinced they see the truth. But what no one can deny is that the tension is real, and that it has now been dragged into the open where it cannot be ignored. Even players from other teams, quietly, will be paying attention, because the Yankees are not just any organization, they are the Yankees. And when cracks show in their foundation, the entire baseball world feels the tremor. In the middle of this storm, what complicates matters is that Rizzo has never been a player known for drama. He has been steady, reliable, respected by teammates and opponents alike. His reputation is that of a consummate professional, someone who plays for the team, not for the spotlight. That makes his frustration all the more powerful. If he is saying this, then something must really be off behind the scenes. It forces us to ask whether the Yankees, in their endless chase for stars, have forgotten how to nurture and honor the players who embody stability and leadership. There's a sense, whispered by insiders, that this roster is being run like a business transaction machine, where numbers and projections trump relationships and loyalty. And if that's the case, then players like Rizzo, who thrive on respect and trust, will inevitably feel squeezed out. That's not just a Yankees problem. That's a baseball problem. Because if loyalty doesn't mean anything anymore, then the game itself risks losing something deeper than stats. The question now is how the front office responds. Will they dismiss this as just frustration in the heat of the moment, or will they take it seriously? The Yankees have a long history of handling criticism with either a firm hand or a calculated silence. But this one feels different. This isn't a rookie or a fringe player making noise. This is Anthony Rizzo, a World Series champion, a man who has worn the uniform with pride, now essentially questioning whether that pride is reciprocated. If the Yankees try to downplay it, they risk alienating not only Rizzo, but also the fans who believe in him. If they acknowledge it, they open the door to bigger conversations about culture, about priorities, about how they treat the veterans who still have much to give. Either way, this is a pivotal moment. A small crack in the armor can either be patched carefully or ignored until it becomes a fracture that cannot be ignored anymore. What makes this situation so compelling is that it touches on the identity of the Yankees themselves. This is a franchise built on tradition, on icons, on legends who were celebrated for their greatness and their presence as much as their statistics. Think of names like Jeter, Rivera, Posada, players who embodied the pinstripes and were revered not just for numbers, but for what they meant. When Rizzo says he doesn't feel valued, it almost sounds like a betrayal of that tradition. It forces us to ask whether the Yankees of today have lost touch with the values that made them larger than life. Are they so obsessed with the next big contract, the next shiny star, the next headline, that they forget the players already in the clubhouse giving everything they have? That's the emotional punch in all of this. It's not just about Rizzo. It's about what the Yankees stand for now, and whether that image still matches the history fans fell in love with. Inside the clubhouse, players are said to be whispering, some supporting Rizzo quietly, others trying to stay out of the spotlight. That dynamic itself reveals something important. One of respect. What complicates everything further is the media circus that surrounds the Yankees. In New York, there's no such thing as a quiet controversy. Every quote, every side comment, every body language signal is dissected endlessly. The phrase, "they don't value me here," is simple, but in this environment, it becomes a storm. Talk shows debate whether Rizzo has a point. Headlines spin his words into questions about the manager, the front office, even the ownership. Fans line up to call radio stations, some saying the team has disrespected a proven leader, others dismissing him as a declining player refusing to accept reality. That noise doesn't stay outside the clubhouse walls. It seeps inside, amplifying the tension. Players start to feel the weight of outside scrutiny, and suddenly, something that could have been solved internally becomes a full-blown narrative dominating every pre-game press conference. This is the downside of being a Yankee. The spotlight is brighter than anywhere else, and when frustration goes public, it multiplies in ways no other franchise experiences. Behind the scenes, whispers suggest that the coaching staff is caught in the middle. On one hand, they know Rizzo's value. His presence in the dugout, his leadership in the clubhouse, his ability to mentor younger players, all of that matters. But on the other hand, they are under pressure from analytics departments and front office decision-makers to maximize lineups based on data, projections, and matchups. That tension leaves managers and coaches in a tricky spot. How do you balance the cold logic of numbers with the warm reality of chemistry? It's a battle that many modern teams face, but in New York, it's magnified tenfold. Some insiders even hint that Rizzo has expressed frustration not just about respect, but about being benched or rotated in ways that he feels ignore his ability to perform under pressure. This creates a sense that the Yankees are drifting toward a formula-driven approach that dismisses instincts and veteran leadership, which could alienate not just Rizzo, but other established players who pride themselves on experience. As this rumor continues to swirl, Fans are left wondering what the breaking point will be. Will the Yankees front office step in to smooth things over, offering reassurance to Rizzo and showing him he still matters to the organization? Or will they quietly hope the storm passes, betting that winning will silence the noise? The risk of the second option is enormous. Baseball seasons are long, and unresolved tension has a way of festering. If the Yankees hit a rough stretch, every loss will come with whispers about whether chemistry issues are to blame. Every misstep will be magnified as evidence of internal cracks. And if Rizzo continues to feel slighted, his frustration might not stop with words. It could show up in body language, in effort, in disengagement, all subtle signals that teammates notice. Once that happens, the culture of the clubhouse can shift in dangerous ways, creating divides between veterans and management, between players who feel respected and those who don't. That's the kind of undercurrent that can derail even the most talented rosters. Some fans speculate that this outburst could be a calculated move. After all, veterans know the power of words, especially in New York. By voicing his frustration publicly, Rizzo forces the organization's hand. He puts pressure on the front office to respond, knowing they can't simply let such a statement hang in the air without consequence. It's a gamble, but one that might pay off. If the Yankees choose to reaffirm his role, show him more respect, and perhaps adjust how they use him, then he gains back some control. But if the organization decides to harden its stance, then the conflict escalates, and we might even hear whispers of a trade, something unthinkable when he first arrived but now not impossible. That's how quickly things can change in the high-pressure world of the Yankees. A single quote can flip a narrative. A single moment of honesty can reshape the future of both player and team. The legacy question also looms over this. Anthony Rizzo has built a career defined by loyalty, grit, and leadership. Fans know him not just as a player, but as someone who gives his heart to the game. If his time with the Yankees ends in frustration, it will sting far beyond the box scores. It will feel like a betrayal of the storybook image the franchise tries to project. Imagine the headlines if he leaves and thrives elsewhere, openly discussing how undervalued he felt in New York. That's the nightmare scenario for the Yankees, losing a veteran not just on the field, but in the narrative war of perception. Because in sports, perception matters almost as much as performance. The Yankees can sign stars, build powerhouse rosters, and chase championships. But if players start to believe that wearing the pinstripes comes with disrespect instead of pride, then the foundation of their mystique begins to crumble. That's why this rumor matters so much. It cuts to the heart of what it means to be a Yankee. At the end of the day, this situation is about more than one player. It's about identity, about culture, about whether the Yankees are still the franchise that celebrates its legends and values its leaders. Anthony Rizzo's frustration may have been voiced in a single sentence, but that sentence echoes with decades of history. Fans are watching closely, teammates are paying attention, and the baseball world is buzzing. How the Yankees respond will shape not only their season, but their reputation in the years to come. Because if Anthony Rizzo, the steady veteran, the champion, the leader, feels that he is not valued in the Bronx, then the question becomes unavoidable. Who really is? That's the storyline circling like a storm cloud. And until the Yankees provide clarity, the thunder will only grow louder. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the New York Yankees, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.